My brother leaned over my father's casket and whispered that I was a jealous, bitter failure. But 30 minutes later, the locksmith arrived at the house and changed my life forever. Everyone in our hometown saw Mark as the golden child, the high flyer who moved to the city and supposedly made millions, while I was the one who stayed behind to change Dad's bandages, manage his medications, and handle the late-night hospital runs alone. At the funeral service, Mark made sure to tell every grieving relative that I was only there to grab a piece of the inheritance, even though he hadn't visited or even called in over 3 years. He actually pointed at me during the reception, laughing while telling our cousins that my jealousy of his success was pathetic, and that I was nothing more than a local nobody waiting for a handout. But Dad had one specific rule written into his will. Nobody was allowed to touch the mahogany desk in his private study until the day after the burial. Mark couldn't even wait that long. He dragged me and the family lawyer back to the house immediately, smugly claiming that the locked bottom drawer contained a secret trust fund meant only for him because he was the favorite. He was so incredibly confident that he started talking about the luxury sports car he was going to buy before the locksmith had even finished turning the pick. When the drawer finally clicked open, the air completely left the room. There wasn't a stack of cash or a deed to a penthouse. Instead, there was a thick manila folder labeled "The Truth About Mark's Business." Inside, we found 3 years of private bank statements showing that Mark hadn't been making millions. He had been systematically embezzling from Dad's retirement fund to cover his massive gambling debts. Every gift he ever sent was paid for with Dad's own stolen money. But the real kicker was the final letter at the bottom. Dad knew everything. He had spent his final months documenting every single cent Mark took. And the inheritance Mark was so sure of was actually a legal demand for repayment to the estate, which was now legally signed over entirely in my name. Mark went from calling me a jealous loser to begging me on his knees not to call the police in under 60 seconds. If you think family secrets are wild, hit that plus button and tell me your craziest family story in the comments below.